Dennis Carter.
You're still retired, right?
I am.
Okay.
2.5 months and going strong. I still have people in the grocery store. They'll come up to me, and sometimes they'll forget that I did sports. They'll say, "You were the weatherman, weren't you, back in the day?" Why are you looking at me like that, Rich?
I'm trying to figure out if I believe you or not, Dennis.
With two people, it was tough getting to all the sports and places you wanted to get to, and now he's having to do it with one. I'm not going to touch that one, Rich. You're not going to drag me into that. Oh, because I remember all the curse words you got me to say because we were doing it for the kids. I haven't eaten a hot dog since the first grade. It's tough trying to talk when you know you've got a fly that's right around your mouth. This is an opportunity for me to kind of give back to what was so important to me for so long.
40 plus years, retired again. Is it for good this time?
Never say never, Rich. Never say never.
Welcome once again to No Holds Barred. I'm Rich Roth, and my guest today, a legend. He loves when I call him that.
Please, Rich.
Dennis freaking Carter.
Hello, Rich.
What's going on, Dennis?
Stranger. Gosh.
It's been a while.
Feels nice to be back in the studio.
It's always good to have you back.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
You want to come back?
Well, I think my wife's probably ready to send me back. You know, you got to be careful sometimes of what you ask for.
Yeah, I know.
And she wanted to spend more time with me, but after, 2.5 months, she's saying, okay, Dennis, you got to go to work.
Away we go.
You got to head on back. Yeah.
Thank you for coming in. I've been looking forward to this, but we figured we would wait till we were on the verge of football season and high school football, which I know you're such a big fan of, is getting ready to get underway, or maybe by the time this airs is underway, and college football right behind it. And I asked you this before we even jumped on the air. How long has it been since you entered a high school football season not working in the media at all and not covering high school football at all?
I had to really think about that, Rich, because it's been constant. Boy, ever since before I got into television, because I worked in radio at WBTM in Danville for 4 years. Actually, we started doing high school football probably my second year in. So I'm going to say probably the last time I did not cover high school football would have been 1980 or 1981.
Wow. Or really any football for that matter, right? I mean, This is, so what's it feel like right now? You're still retired, right?
I am.
Okay.
2.5 months and going strong.
It's almost like AA, right? Yeah. You count the days.
2 months, 15 days, and 4 hours. Yep.
With no work.
Yep.
But lots of tennis, some softball, little golf.
Yeah.
You know.
Living the good life.
So far, so good?
So far, so good. There is a little empty part in my stomach, Rich, because I miss being a part of especially the high school sports scene, but also college sports as well. You miss those relationships that you develop through the years. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to be able to get on the phone and talk to a coach and say, can I come over tomorrow for practice? Be there about 3:30, talk to you and a couple of players, and then I'll have to head on out. But I kind of miss that. I really do.
Well, and this is one topic that I want to get into with you maybe a little bit later on, but sports has changed, right? Those relationships have changed over the years. And I know, you've run the gamut, but it's all changed quite a bit.
Especially in the past few years. Mm-hmm. Now it's kind of the wild, wild west as far as sports is concerned. We're hearing just in the past couple of days about the Big Ten's proposal to expand the college football playoffs to 24 or 28 teams. Are you kidding me, Rich? 12's enough. We don't need any more than 12. I would have been happy with 8. But 24 or 28, you talk about watering down the product as far as college football, and one conference having as many as 7 teams in the national playoffs? No, We don't need that.
Well, and college basketball is the same way, even though I know they voted not to expand the tournament this year,
Yeah.
but they went from, 64 where it had been for so long to 68, and now they're talking about doubling that again. And, same principle applies there.
Yeah. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't even try to fix it. 68 is fine as far as I'm concerned for NCAA basketball. College football, let's let 12 go for a little while longer, a
see
few
how
more
that goes.
years at least, and then maybe we'll talk about expanding it, but I hope it never gets to the point where we expand to 24 or 28 teams. I think that's way too many.
So, you touched on this a second ago, but your career started out in radio, then you moved to TV, came to WSET, had an amazing career there, wound up being inducted into the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame, lots of other local Hall of Fames, Lynchburg Area Sports Hall of Fame, Danville Community College, Amherst. I know there are many more. Lots of awards from the Associated Press. I mean, a really, really distinguished career. Tell me a little bit about that, and maybe even more so, you never left Lynchburg. Lots of people are always looking to take that next jump to a bigger market to really push things. You never did that. Why?
I never did because I really enjoy this area, and it was perfect for me and my wife, Regina. Regina had a really good job with BWXT. She was the main breadwinner of the family. She had a very nice job, a high level position. And in fact, during our marriage, for 5 years, she actually worked in Charlotte and came home a couple of times a month, but work took her to Charlotte. So I stayed here and did my thing, and she was in Charlotte doing her work, and we made it work. But that was kind of different. It was kind of tough to keep things going, only seeing your wife, 2 weekends out of the month. It's kind of a tough thing to do. Some guys would
Really?
say, hey,
I'm sitting there
that's not a
thinking,
bad
really?
deal at all. But it took some getting used to.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it did.
I can imagine. But, through it all, you were here, such a long, distinguished career at WSET. And, a big part of that, obviously, her and your family, which comes first. But also, growing up in Danville, your familiarity with the area, your love for the area.
Exactly. That had a lot to do with me deciding to stay here in Lynchburg because I really didn't want to leave the area. I liked the fact that I could do what I love doing, which is sports, and my mom and dad, who were living at the time, could see me on TV. My friends who I grew up with, I got to stay here, continue friendships with them. I got to cover a lot of the schools that I grew up with in Danville. Danville had a great rivalry, GW with EC Glass and some of the area teams around here, Amherst County and stuff. So it was kind of neat for me to be able to stay in that same environment and cover the teams and the athletes that I grew up with and didn't have to move but an hour and 10 minutes up the road from Danville to Lynchburg, and I still got to keep all of those familiar elements in my life.
I had to imagine there were opportunities for you to go elsewhere. Which one intrigued you the most? Which one maybe, did you come the closest to jumping at?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't really pursue many opportunities. I think in my 37 years at WSET, I probably sent out one or two resumes.
Really?
Yeah. I had no desire to move. I did. In fact, I sent one resume really not for myself, but someone who was kind of putting a little pressure on me to send out a resume. And I said, okay, I'll send out the resume. So I sent it out, and I think I applied for maybe one other job, but I enjoyed what I did right here in my own backyard. So I never really pursued any opportunities. I was happy doing what I was doing.
You went to Virginia Tech. You worked in radio down in Danville. You wound up at WSET. Tell me, and you've told me before, but since we're doing this, talk about how it evolved and how you started at SET and then obviously became the sports director. And
my first job out of college, I was a bag boy and a cashier at Kroger. That was a job that I had during high school, and I actually was able to continue that a little bit at Virginia Tech. I kept my relationship with Kroger. I worked at the Kroger in Blacksburg. So when I got out of school, I didn't have a job. It's like a lot of folks who wrap up their college education, they're saying to themselves, okay, what am I going to do now? I got to find a job. I got very lucky. One day I was checking out people at Kroger, checking out people coming through the grocery line. And one of the people that came through the line was the wife of a teacher I had in high school for French. And she just happened to work at the radio station in Danville, WBTM. Mm-hmm. And she knew that I had just gotten out of college. And she said, what did you major in college? And I told her, and she said, well, what do you plan on doing next? And I told her, I said, well, I'd love to get a job in communications. Would love to do something in sports. She said, well, I work at the radio station in town. She said they're looking for a person who can write commercial copy. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't write commercial copy. I can't write jingles and 30-second spots for Old Dutch Supermarket or, other businesses in town. But she said, you ought to come by the station, put in a resume and just see what happens. I went by there, I put in an application, and sure enough, I got a call and got the job. So I went to WBTM. This would have been in 1979. Stayed there for 4 years. And while I was there, they didn't have anybody doing sports at the time at the radio station. They wanted to have someone do a drive time sportscast for 5 to 10 minutes during the 6 o'clock hour. And I raised my hand and said, yeah, I'd love to do that.
Sure.
So I got the opportunity to get some experience doing that. They needed someone to help out with the high school football games. They did have someone doing play-by-play. I said, I can do that. I can help with that. So I got the opportunity to get great experience out of my job as a commercial writer, which was my main job. And then we actually started doing Averett College basketball. Mm-hmm. And they needed someone to do color for Averett College basketball. Yeah. Raised my hand and said, yeah, I'd love to do that too. So I got a great opportunity to do a lot of different things through the job as a commercial writer. It just helped to kind of get my foot in the door. And once I was there at the radio station doing things, I was able to get some experience. And I guess my big break as far as getting into TV, at the time, Channel 13 did not have a bureau in Danville. So what they would do if there was a big story happening in Danville, they would send a cameraman down to Danville. They would hook up with the news director at WBTM, the radio station. They would get together, do some interviews, get some B-roll in Danville, and they would drive the video and interviews back up to Lynchburg and put the story together there. So there came a time when they needed to do a couple of sports stories in Danville. They said, well, what are we going to do? And that's, I said, hey, I do sports here in the area.
Raise your hand again.
I would love to, if you need some sports done, just let me know. So my first story, they sent a cameraman down, and I got to do a feature on a guy that some people may remember back in the early 80s, Warren Martin. He was a 7-foot center out of Tunstall High School and played for the North Carolina Tar Heels. He was a pretty good player. This was when he was at high school in Tunstall, and I got to go out and interview him, and that was kind of my first story that I got to do for television. I got a couple of chances to do stories. To make the story short, by the time 1983 rolled around, they decided to expand the sports department to 2 people. They had just one person in sports, and they asked, Dennis, would you like to be the number 2 guy and come up? You'll have to move to Lynchburg. Come on up, and we'll put you into television. I said, absolutely. Let's give it a roll. And that was a little scary for me because I'd never really been outside of Danville other than college until that point. So it was a big change for me, but I decided now you gotta take it by the horns and do something different, take a chance. I did, and it worked out real well for me.
So you came up, and it wasn't long after that, right, that you got promoted to the sports director and kind of headed up the sports department.
Couple of years. Yeah. I started there in August of 83 and got promoted to sports director in 85. So couple of years after I started, I got the promotion and stayed there until the end of 2019 when I retired right before COVID.
Right. Lucky you.
Yeah.
Timing's everything, right?
Yes. Yep.
And now, you look around and the way the media landscape's changed, WSET back to a one-person sports department, and I bet you're glad you're not doing that anymore, right? I mean, one person, that's got to be hard.
Yeah, it's got to be real hard. I feel for Dave. I'm good friends with Dave Walls, the sports anchor there now, and to have only one person doing what he tries to do, and he gets out and works hard, does the best he can, but boy, you need help with so many sports going on, so many schools in the area. You got to have somebody to help you out. He's got to get a couple of days off during the week, and sometimes you may not see him Monday through Friday, a couple of nights, because he's got to get a couple of days off. He works on the weekends, so he kind of has to pick and choose which days he takes off during the week. But I feel for him because I remember with 2 people, it was tough getting to all the sports and places you wanted to get to, and now he's having to do it with one. About the only time I think he really gets good help would be on Friday nights during the football season and the basketball season. They give him some photographers to help go out and cover games and stuff, but it's got to be really, really tough doing it one person.
Well, and I remember, even you, and I mean, it's kind of the nature of smaller market TV, I would assume, but you're out there, without any help, right? You got the camera on your shoulder. You're running around from game to game. I mean, I know really late nights. I mean, truly a labor of love in a market like Lynchburg at WSET.
It was. And there were a lot of days, a lot of nights when, I was by myself because Dave was maybe off, taking a few days off and stuff. So it was a lot of work, but it was kind of fun. It was a rush. I mean, you kind of challenged yourself to go out and try to get to as many games as you could. Usually at least a couple of games. Sometimes you might try that triple header, hit another school, get a few innings of a baseball game or softball, and try to get back to the TV station and write your scripts up and put together the highlights. And sometimes you made it. Sometimes it was a little scary, a little tight. The time went real fast, especially between 10 o'clock and 11:20. That was the quickest hour and 20 minutes of time in those 37 years.
I know that you covered all kinds of amazing events, right? I mean, you went to, if memory serves, you went to the national championship game when Tech played there. You've been to Daytona 500s, all kinds of big-time sporting events. But your passion has always lied with what I call children's sports, what you call high school sports. Yep. But it's not just that. It's the sports, the athletes that don't get a lot of coverage. The Randolph-Macons, the Lynchburg colleges, that's always what you've loved most, right?
Yeah. I feel like, in a way, I enjoyed high school sports and small college sports just as much, if not more, than covering the major schools, just because I felt like they deserved to be covered too. I mean, they are in our area for local sports. And if I'm doing my job the way I'm supposed to be doing it, the job description says covering local sports. So you need to cover the smaller schools, the high schools, just as much as you cover the Virginia Techs and the UVAs and the Liberties and the VMIs. You gotta give everybody a fair shake. So I think that's why I really loved covering high schools. I loved getting out and, it's so innocent in high school. It's before you get big and you get big-headed and you say, I don't need to talk to him. He's just from Channel 13. In high school, they loved seeing you come to their games. They appreciated the attention and the effort you put in to put them on television. And that was neat for me too. I loved going to games, and when I would walk in, especially at some of the area schools, they would a group of students would want to get on camera. They'd want me to swing the camera over there and get a shot of them cheering and stuff. And so they would start chanting, "Dennis Carter." So that was fun.
I've heard that chant.
Yeah.
On more than one occasion.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I missed that.
And I know you kind of deflect the attention away from yourself and say they wanted to be on camera. And
they did.
I'm sure that's partially true. But, a lot of it was respect for what you've done over your career. Because I saw that later in your career when my kids were in high school and playing. And, the fact that some of these kids who, nowadays don't even watch TV anymore, right? It's everything's on their phone or streaming or whatever. And they don't know what's going on in the local community, but they still knew you. So, that's a big part of it as well.
It's fun to be out and about and have people coming up to you. I still have people in the grocery store. They'll come up to me, and sometimes they'll forget that I did sports. They'll say, "You were the weatherman, weren't you, back in the day at Channel 13?" I said, "Well, you're close. You got the TV station right, but I did sports." But it's fun for people to come up and say hello and say that they remembered me and, they enjoyed watching me on TV and listening to me on the radio, WLNI with Rich Roth and Jamie Hall, and it's fun.
And obviously, a big part of it is, and you touched on this, but when you're doing a lot with local sports and especially high school sports, it means a lot for not only the kids but the parents to, get that exposure and and just that sense of community that you were talking about earlier.
I think so, and I think it's important. It was especially important back in the day. As you said, now kids have so many different outlets where they can, find out what they want to find out, social media and stuff. Maybe not as many people watch television as they used to, but I bet you on Friday nights, parents especially and athletes, they're still watching TV. They want to go home and turn on the TV and see their kid, scoring a touchdown, making a big play on the football field or the basketball court and stuff. So I think it's still relevant, and people enjoy seeing their kids excel on the playing field.
We touched on this just a tad earlier, but this is going to be your first football season, at least as of right now, not covering or, just being a normal person. What's that feel like?
Weird.
Yeah.
Feels a little weird, to be honest. I know I'll be watching a lot of college football. I'm excited really about college football, more so this year than in past years, just because I've always had high school football, and that's always been my number one love. But I'm sure I'll still go to at least a handful of high school games, if not more. But I'm really looking forward to college football, watching games at home on TV, and maybe going to a few during the season and the NFL and stuff. So I may not be on the field as much as I've been in the past, but I'll still be watching. You can bet your dollar on that.
Oh, well, I know that because I think it wasn't long after you stopped doing Carter and Company and kind of officially, we think, retired for maybe the final time. But, I'm sitting there scrolling on Twitter or X or whatever we're going to call it, and I'm getting updates on a high school baseball game from you.
That's sad, isn't it? I just can't give it up. I remember that game. It was a Jefferson Forest baseball game.
That's right.
And I was still, giving updates on Facebook or what? X, I guess is
Twitter,
what they call it.
whatever. Yeah.
So I was just letting people know what the score was at the end of the fourth inning and stuff. And my buddy Dave Walls, who we mentioned earlier, at the end of the game, he walked up to me. He said, "Dennis, you're retired. Why am I seeing posts on X? You're doing my job." He said, "Come on, just lay off. Just enjoy. You're retired. Enjoy your retired life." But it's hard. It's been a part of my life for, gosh, more than half my life. So it's hard to give it up.
So talk about retirement a little bit. I mean, and I know you're just kind of, easing into it. And we talked about a little bit of tennis and a little bit of golf and, some softball and maybe some travel and more time with Regina.
Yeah.
And I know you've got some exciting news. Your family's growing.
Yeah, the family is growing. We can't wait. Regina and I are going to be grandparents for the first time. And the baby is due on Regina's birthday.
Oh, is that right?
October the 18th is the due date.
Is that good or bad?
Oh, I think it's good.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think Regina is excited that it may come on her birthday. We think it'll be somewhere around that time. And another element to that, we don't know if it's going to be a boy or a girl. Because Ryan, our son, and Caitlin, they don't want to know. They want to be surprised, at least. That's what they're saying right now.
So far.
We got 2 months to go. That could change. But as of now, they want it to be a surprise.
Are you secretly hoping for a boy?
I just want it to be healthy.
No,
yes,
no.
I got to give you the line. Because
that's all it is a lie. We all know that.
Because I know so many men who have had daughters and love it. Their daughters,
right?
And they love them. So it doesn't matter to me, boy or girl. Why are you looking at me like that, Rich?
I'm trying to figure out if I believe you or not, Dennis.
Now, I wouldn't be upset if it was a boy. I would not be upset.
And there it is.
Because that would continue the Carter name.
That's right. You told me that because you were the only boy that your parents had. You have a couple of sisters.
I have a couple of older sisters, and I was the baby boy. So, if it's a boy, that's okay. But if it's a girl, that's okay too.
Well, I mean, obviously it's okay because you're not going to send it back or anything.
No,
but
it's great either way.
Okay.
Girl or boy.
I'm remembering back. Did you ever watch Family Ties way back in the day?
I did.
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
He was Alex P. Keaton.
Yes.
And I remember they had a new kid come into their family, and he had two sisters already, and it was a boy. And I remember in the delivery room, him just dropping to his knees and looking up to the heavens and saying, "Thank you, God."
No, boy or girl is going to be great.
Either way is
yes,
okay.
Sir.
And I know Regina's awfully excited as well.
Absolutely. We've already gotten for our house here in Lynchburg, we've gotten the baby bed, we've gotten the stroller, so when Ryan and Caitlin come to the house, we're ready. We're ready.
All set.
Yep.
All set. So no high school football. You're excited about college football. Let's go back.
And the NFL, too.
And the NFL.
Yeah, NFL will be fun.
Green Bay Packers?
Green Bay Packers, yes.
Going to be all right?
I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be as strong as they've been in past years, but we'll see.
You mentioned college football. Let's talk about that for just a second. Really, really big years for Tech and UVA. Brent Pry and Blacksburg, Tony Elliott. They came in together. I think lots of fans are still a little bit frustrated with the progress that we've seen. How big a year is it for each of those guys in particular and their teams?
Huge for both of them. I think if there was more pressure on one or the other, I think it'd have to be on Brent Pry.
Really?
Yeah, because he's had, what is this, his fourth year? So he's had three years already. Tech has just been mediocre. I mean, and that may be a compliment. They haven't been good. I mean, last year they lost their bowl game. They finished 6-7, I believe. They finished with a losing record. That's not up to Blacksburg standards.
So a lot of that really stems from the past and the expectations there, because Tony Elliott came in at the same time, and in all honesty, UVA's been awful.
They have been. Of course, Tony Elliott, they had to deal with the tragedy of having the 3 players shot and killed. Yeah, and the other player was able to bounce back.
Yep.
Yeah, but having to go through that, I think you've got to give Tony Elliott a little bit more of a buffer, because he's been able to deal with that and try to get past that, because I can't imagine what that was like for the members of the team to have their teammates killed, in a senseless action there on campus. But I think there's a lot of pressure on Tony Elliott too, because as you said, they have not been good. Their attendances have been down.
I said they've been awful.
Well, yeah, they have been
I know
awful.
you will.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. Okay. Yeah. I wasn't going to be quite that blunt, but they have been awful.
They've been awful.
They need to be a lot better. And I think this year they should be better. There's no reason they can't be better. They've got more players. They've got better talent, I think, just from going out and getting people out of the transfer portal. They've got a schedule that lends itself to winning football games. If they don't finish 500 or better this year, I don't know. It could be time for a change as far as coaches in Charlottesville.
And we can't forget about Liberty. It's hard to. But, throughout the course of your career, you talked about 37 years at WSET, so it's been 40 plus years that you've been covering sports in the Lynchburg area. I don't think anything is more amazing than what we've seen as far as the growth of not only Liberty University, but athletics over there.
Every time you look, there's a new building going up on the Liberty campus. I mean, I was over there for a Commonwealth Games event back in July, and there were a couple of buildings that just kind of popped up. I'd never seen them before. And,
Where did that come from?
I go over there, go by there occasionally, but it's amazing. I mean, the facilities that they have at Liberty, you can match them up with pretty much any schools around the country. I mean, their facilities are on par with bigger schools across the country. It's been impressive. They've made great strides. Their teams have been very competitive. I mean, you look at football making the bowl game year before last.
New Year's Day bowl game.
Yeah. Richie McKay, what he's done with the basketball team. The baseball team is always competitive. They've had a lot of really good teams, athletes come through there, and it's been impressive. It really has been.
Was it still Liberty, Baptist College when you were here early on, or had it become Liberty University yet?
In the early years, it was Liberty Baptist College. Yeah.
And Dr. Falwell had that dream, and, they were getting closer to it by the time I got to Lynchburg, but, his dream of being, the Notre Dame of, Baptist or, whatever it was. I mean, when that originally came out, were you just thinking, what is this guy talking about?
Yes. I think, to be honest, most people probably thought that way. They thought, well, that'd be great, but, is that really going to happen? And I'm sure a lot of folks thought, well, it's good to have big dreams like that. It's never going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, it's here. And don't be surprised in the next, 5-10 years if he always wanted to play Notre Dame, right? Maybe on the football field. I could see it happening. I really could.
Speaking of Liberty, and obviously, you look at their mission, right? And, in Jerry Falwell, obviously being a Baptist preacher and, training champions for Christ being their motto and all those different things, but understanding how important athletics was to them as well. We've seen some things, we've seen some hirings, to be quite honest, that I think, surprised a lot of people and thought it was very contrary to the Liberty mission. Ian McCaw being one, with the trouble that his Baylor program had with, the rapes and all those different things going on, and then bringing in Hugh Freeze, who obviously had his missteps while he was in the SEC before going back to the SEC.
Right.
How much did that surprise you, in the sense that, because it really felt to me like, man, they're emphasizing athletics over what their values are supposed to be.
Yeah, some of the hirings did surprise me, but I remember hearing people explaining the fact that Liberty liked to give people second chances. People that have made mistakes along the way,
right.
They want to give them a second chance, and they did. They gave the athletic director, the football coach, a chance to kind of get their footing and get back doing what they enjoy doing. So, and it's worked out for them.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
There's no question that those guys were really good hires for the athletic program. I guess the balance there is, how does that fit in? And, you talk about second chances, but it seems like those tended to go to the really good people in athletics rather than other places.
Maybe so. I'm not going to touch that one, Rich. You're not going to drag me into that.
Come on, Dennis. Once again, we're talking with Dennis Carter, legendary sportscaster, here in the Lynchburg area for over 40 years. Virginia Sports Hall of Fame, tons of AP awards. The list goes on and on. But and you've talked about that none of that was really super important to you, but it has to feel good to be honored and recognized for all you've accomplished.
It's very rewarding to be recognized by peers that you've worked with through the years, and to be elected into some of the area sports halls of fame. That's been very special for me. But, I look at the opportunities that I've had along the way, and I'm just so appreciative that folks gave me an opportunity to come here. They took a chance on, a guy out of Danville who was a cashier and a bag boy at Kroger. They decided to give me an opportunity in Danville, and then they said, let's try this in Lynchburg. And things have really worked out well for me. So I'm just real appreciative of everybody who's given me that opportunity and let me do what I really enjoy doing.
What don't people know about you?
Gosh, I think they know a lot about me through the years. There are probably some things that they don't know. If you listen to the Sports Line, you probably know this, but I don't like hot dogs.
Right.
I haven't eaten a hot dog since the first grade. I took a bite of a hot dog in elementary school. I didn't like it. I haven't eaten a hot dog since.
But you eat everything but the hot dog, right?
Oh, I do. I love the hot dog bun with mustard and chili. I love chili. I'm a chili eater. I like chili beans, chili on hot dog buns. I'll eat chili on hamburgers, mustard and chili.
No vegetables.
Are you
getting there?
I'm getting there. Regina has been working with me through the years, and I'm starting to eat things you never thought I would eat, Rich.
Really?
I have eaten broccoli. I have eaten squash. I have eaten, gosh, what else? Name some other weird vegetables. Spinach?
Really?
Yes. I don't really like spinach, but I've eaten it. I've tried these things. And I've never really ate corn on the cob that much, but I'm starting to, I'll eat corn on the cob now. So I'm expanding my horizons, Rich. And I have to give a lot of thanks to my wife, Regina, who has put up with me a lot of years now. And I think she got to the point where she was tired of hearing me say, let's get a pizza or let's go out and get a hamburger. She said, no, let's eat some real food, some good food that's going to be good for you. So
they can teach an old dog new tricks.
Yes. And I'm definitely an old dog, and I'm learning new tricks.
One of the other things that we learned about you on the sports line. And I want to ask you about that too, but we learned that you can't swim.
That's true. I cannot swim. The reason for that goes back to a vacation. We went up to somewhere in North Carolina. We went to a pool, and I was playing tag in the pool with my two sisters. My middle sister, middle child in the family, had gone into the deep water, and I was going to try to get her in the deep water, and went under, and I was under for a while. And a man on the side of the pool jumped into the pool and came in and pulled me out and scared me to death. And I have never had the desire to learn how to swim ever since that incident. I think I was probably 8 or 9 years old at the time. And I've always had this fear of water. I will go in the water at the beach, but I always have to be able to touch the bottom with my feet. If I get thrown up, by a big wave and lose footing on the bottom of the ocean, that freaks me out a little bit. So, I've never had the desire to learn how to swim.
It's interesting because, maybe I learned a lot of these things while doing the show, right? The sports line, for what was really a very fun few year run.
Oh, it was great.
It was interesting because people would always ask me, man, what's it like to do the show with Dennis? And, your reputation, as I'm sure you know, is just a great guy and, very likable and nice to everybody. And that is absolutely held true. But what I loved about doing the sports line with you was when you did TV sports, it was all scripted. It was a couple minutes, right? I mean, there were interviews or whatever, but just the opportunity to get to know you and your sense of humor and all those things, just very different formats than what you had done in TV all those years.
That was a plus when I got into radio, the fact that I had time to talk and kind of be myself and go off on tangents and tell funny stories and, have fun with you and Jamie and whoever I was doing the show with on WLNI. That was fun because it gave me an opportunity to do something other than just scripted material and having to talk as fast as I could for 3 minutes to try and get everything in on TV because they don't give you much time to talk sports on television.
And it's even less now.
It is even less now. I think it's down. Most stations probably give their sports guy 2.5, maybe 2 minutes a night. And, when you've got a lot of different things you want to talk about, 2 minutes is nothing. Nothing. So I feel sorry for the sports guys who've had their time chopped down so much through the years. I don't know how they do it.
I don't know that you've ever said this to me, but I've always had the impression that, when we did the show together, you did some things or said some things that were very out of character for you, but you felt like you could get away from it because I would always take the blame. Like it's Rich's fault. Rich did that or whatever. And I'm thinking back to specifically one thing in particular. Can you remember what it was?
Mustaches for kids?
It wasn't mustache for, that would be a close second.
Oh, because I remember all the curse words you got me to say because we were doing it for the kids.
For the children.
We were raising money for the kids.
For the children.
So you wanted me to say some dirty words. And
well, we all paid the price for that one.
We did raise money for the kids, though. Yeah. That was the main purpose.
That was the main purpose, and that was a lot of fun. No, the one I was thinking of that specifically stands out most for me was the West Virginia joke contest.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I can't believe he just said that.
What? I don't remember what I said.
Yeah, I won't repeat it.
Okay, good.
I won't make you repeat it either. But you talk about, mustaches for kids and the different things we did to help raise money for that. You've also now got up and running a student athlete scholarship, and I know you and Regina are working hard in an endowment through the Lynchburg Community Foundation. Talk a little bit about that.
That's exciting because I wanted to do something, and that was your idea, Rich. You started the Dennis Carter Student Athlete Scholarship, which we've done for the last 2 years on WLNI, and that was a collaboration between you and Play It Again Sports.
Well, I mean, it was one of those things. We had done it before, but it's like it needs a name, right? And who means more to local sports than you? And you and Regina have taken the ball and run with it and created an endowment. And this is something that will be long lasting and really a legacy for you and all that you meant for high school sports and really area athletics in the Lynchburg area.
It's my way of giving back to high school sports is the way I look at it, because high school sports was so good to me in my time covering sports in radio and television. This is an opportunity for me to kind of give back to what was so important to me for so long. And now it's a chance to help a high school male and a female every year who might need a little boost to have enough money to go into college or a trade school or a community college. And you don't have to play sports at the college level. We just want to help out maybe a person that might have a financial need. This might be a little bit of a boost for him or her to take that next step to further their education. And it means a lot that we're able to help people in this area take that next jump, because sometimes you do need a little help. You know, college education is certainly not cheap, and it's not getting any cheaper by the year. So
tell me about it.
This is this is an opportunity to help out so many people that, you know, kind of helped me out through my years as far as covering sports.
And also, I know, you know, to honor kids who do it the right way, because,
Exactly.
you know, one of the things you guys talked about wanting this scholarship to be was, you know, not just what people do on the field, but off the field in the community. You wanted well-rounded people to be represented by
that
this.
excel not only on the field, but the classroom. They give back to their community. They may have a financial need. We like to help out someone who needs that extra boost if we can. But we're looking for just someone that is the perfect example of what it means to be a student athlete. I mean, they do it on the field, they do it in the classroom, and they help out people in their community. They might go out and, you know, help people that have been part of a tragedy, go and clean up house that's been torn apart by weather. I think of the folks in Appomattox when they had, the tornado that came through and just tore parts of Appomattox to shreds. And Coach Smith was always so good about getting his players, football players, together, and other groups as well. But they would go out and help people out in their times of need. So that's the kind of person you want to help. You want to help assist somebody who knows that it's important to be a good citizen and to help others.
How has sports changed in the 40 plus years you've been covering it? And I think you touched on it earlier. It seems like it's changed an awful lot more in the last half a decade or so. You
know, it's changed a lot in so many ways. I like the fact that it still remains the same at the high school level, at least.
For now.
For now. You still see people wanting to get out there and give it their best, and there's not that pressure to feel like you have to go out and do something, score touchdowns and stuff. You're doing it for the betterment of your team, and it's not so much an individual thing. But when you look at college sports now, I hate to see colleges having to play the money grab as far as the schools that have more money are the ones that are able to lure the top athletes to come to their school because they can offer them a boatload of money, maybe more so than, other schools. I hate the way that's become. I do like the fact, and I didn't think I would at the time, but I think athletes deserve to receive some sort of payment now. If you'd asked me that 15, 20 years ago, I would have said, college education's good enough. They don't need to be paid. But now you think about it, and the world's changing, and you do need to reward those athletes that give of their time. It would be hard, if not impossible, for them to get a part-time job because they put so much time and effort, commitment into their particular sport. They should be rewarded. But I just don't like the way colleges now have to play that money game as to, how much money can you give this guy to lure him to come to your school? And it's going crazy. Way too much money involved.
Well, what about, and I understand what you're saying about the athletes deserving to be paid, but, if you flip it around and you look at the athletes who nowadays, especially in college, have no loyalty to the college they went to or the coach they went to. It's, man, I had a good year. Who's going to offer me more money? And they're jumping ship. I mean, I look at Liberty as an example, right? They had a great quarterback who Coach Chadwell really had helped develop and turn into a really good quarterback in Caden Salter. And, man, after that first year, he's in the portal. And, a lot of, I don't know exactly what happened, but felt like he was holding out for more money for Liberty because then he came back. But now he's bolting and he's with Coach Prime because they're shelling out the money. And it's just like...
It's disappointing that it's become a money grab for so many different athletes. And you see athletes now that maybe during their college time have attended like 3 or 4 different schools over their 4 or 5 years of eligibility. That's tough. Where is the team commitment? Where is that commitment to you, the guys you came in with, and wanting to stay together and do it as a team? It's hard to see that just kind of dissolve and go away to just I'll transfer here. If I don't like it here after a couple of months, I'll move on to another school. That's disappointing. It really is.
Or it's not only if I don't like it, if someone's willing to pay me more.
Yeah, I'll move. Yeah.
And then you've got the other dynamic, which I never thought I'd see, is people staying in college because they can make more money in college than if they went to the pros.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not going to be a high draft pick, or a lot of college basketball players who may not be drafted, but they can make millions of dollars in college. It's
never thought I'd see that.
Different dynamic.
It's gotten way out of whack for sure. And it's, again, disappointing to see that happen.
Do you think they ever get it under control?
I sure hope so. I have hope that somebody will come in and kind of clean things up, get some better regulations to encompass all the schools. So certain schools can't get away with using their power and their money to grab all the top athletes and stuff. But I don't know. That's a tough question. I hope one day there will be much better regulation, whether that's through Congress or I don't know. I don't know who's going to be able to come in and reel it all in, because it's a mess right now. It really is.
What are some of the more memorable moments from your 40 plus years covering sports for you that you've been involved with? Not the bigger stuff that you just watch from afar, but
right.
It could be local. It could be local athletes or, smaller local colleges that you've kind of interacted with, or coaches or whatever. What stands out?
I think being a part of covering state championships for area high schools, that's always neat to see the celebrations out on the court after they've won a state championship. It doesn't matter the sport. I've seen a lot through the years, a lot of football, basketball, baseball, softball, all kinds of different titles. I think about the bigger games that I've covered. You mentioned the national championship game in 2000 after the 1999 season, Virginia Tech and Florida State. That was big. Got to cover the Elite Eight basketball game in Virginia's run to a national championship in 2019. That was the game that they won in overtime, or it might have been more than one overtime against Purdue. It was played in Louisville, Kentucky. That was incredible.
So you were there in person covering that?
I was, yeah.
And then they went on to the Final Four.
Right.
After winning that, did you get to go to the Final Four?
I did not get to go to the Final Four. Dave actually went to the Final Four. We couldn't send both guys to the Final Four. Dave was much better as far as technically being able to do all kinds of different things.
Gotcha.
So we decided to send Dave. So he got a little bit of that, and I got a little bit of the early part of the UVA run. So that was very, very memorable.
Final Four, WSET couldn't dig into their pockets a little bit? Find another sponsor or something?
I think they dug into their pockets, but they didn't find anything. So they said, "Hey, Dennis, you don't mind staying here in Lynchburg, do you?"
You don't mind
No,
it?
No.
Any memorable athletes that you covered?
Oh gosh,
coaches. I mean, what stands out? Something's got to stand out, right?
Just so many really good people on both the coaching and the athlete side. One of my favorites, the legend Frank Beamer. Always have thought the world of Coach Beamer, just the way he treated people and was always kind, even when he lost a tough game, and he's up there at the podium and people are shooting questions at him and, asking him, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? He was able to hold his composure. And, I respect him to this day, just the way he was able to handle all the pressure. And
have you talked to him lately? Because we've got house divided, right? Early this season.
That's right.
Tech in South Carolina, where Shane's coaching now. Have you talked to him recently?
I have. In fact, we had him on the air on our last show.
The final episode, yep.
Carter and Company.
Yep.
So that's when I talked to him most recently. He'll definitely be at that game in Atlanta. I believe it's Atlanta. Yeah. And that's coming up real soon. Mm-hmm. So South Carolina and Virginia Tech. I would think, of course, Coach Beamer went to Tech. He coached at Tech for so many years, but blood's thicker than...
It's his kid.
Yeah, you got to go for your kid. So as long as Shane Beamer wins the game, I'm sure he would love to see Virginia Tech play well, but I think you gotta root for your kid. If he didn't, you wonder what's wrong there.
Anyone else really stand out that you've and I know you've covered so many. I know Doug Smith is.
Doug Smith has always meant a lot to me. Area coaches around here. I've always respected the job Brad Bradley has done at Heritage High School. One of my favorite high school coaches, but so many through the years, and it's so fun to be able to stay in touch with those guys, still have good relationships with a lot of high school and college coaches that I've dealt with through the years. And it's fun to get on the phone and talk to them and catch up with them, see how they're doing. Just so many great memories.
What about bad memories?
Oh.
Mishaps, right? Things that have happened on the air, outtakes, bloopers, right?
Gosh, how long do you have on this show?
Just give me a couple of the highlights.
Okay, there was, I remember so many times being late, getting down to the set at the last minute, trying to get that last minute score to get on the scoreboard so it would pop up during the show. And I would run out there to the desk, the anchor desk, and I'd sit down with like 5 seconds to go, and they're saying, stand by. And I'm still trying to catch my breath because I've had to run, over there. And that's a scary feeling when you try to open your mouth and talk and you can't catch your breath. Mm-hmm. And, it always seemed to happen on a night where I didn't have like an interview or something early in the show. And it would be where I had to continue to talk. And maybe I didn't even have any video up, and I'm trying to talk, and I'm gasping for air. And those are the nights that you really say, "Gosh, I'll never do that again."
Did any of the anchors ever give you a hard time about that on the air?
Oh yeah,
on the air.
Yeah, and off the air too.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Noreen would always say, Dennis, you've got to get down to the set earlier. Come on, you can't keep doing that. And of course, I kept doing that. But there was one night a fly was in the studio, and he was kind of buzzing around my head. And, it's tough trying to talk when you know you've got a fly that's right around your mouth. And I was afraid he was going to go down my throat as I'm trying to talk. So I'm probably like talking out of the side of my mouth because I didn't want to open my mouth up too wide for that fly to get in there. But I remember stuff like that. And there are always the times when you'll have the wrong tape run at the wrong time. I remember one particular night I was talking about it was a sad story about a Chicago Bear assistant coach or something who had passed away. And I thought I was going to a comment from a Chicago Bear official. And for some reason, they rolled the wrong tape, and it was video of apes running in a jungle. And here I am, I've led into it saying, here's the guy talking about the death of such and such. And then it goes to video, and you see these apes and monkeys kind of running around in a jungle. And they come back to me, and I say, well, obviously that's the wrong video. We apologize. And then you're just thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, how am I going to get out of this? So yeah, always an adventure.
And that wasn't on you, right? I mean, you didn't control what the video was?
No, I did not control it at that time. Of course, there have been other times when maybe you've made a mistake and you've put down to roll a video that maybe you mislabeled the video number or something, and that's on you. So you have to take accountability for those mistakes that you make. Because you're going to make mistakes.
Of course. Yeah. No question about it. So 40 plus years, retired again. Is it for good this time?
Never say never, Rich. Never say never. And Regina, after 2.5 months of having me around the house, she's probably ready to.
She's about ready?
She's probably about ready to say, Dennis, can you find something to get out of the house? Find another job.
If you did, what would it be?
I'm sure it would have something to do with sports, and I would hope that it would have something to do with high school or college sports. Yeah.
But never say never.
Never say never. You got anything? Got any openings, Rich?
We can talk, Dennis. Okay. We can talk. We already have. You seem pretty definitive at one point. Hedging a little bit now?
Oh, I'm enjoying retired life, but there's always that part in your stomach that's saying, gosh, I miss doing that.
And I know you
miss being around the people.
And I know you've been traveling a little bit more. Went on your first cruise like that. You're going to do that again?
Yeah. In fact, I think we're going to do another one next year. And Regina has a list of states that she still needs to hit. She's down to like 12 more states, and she'll have been to every state.
Oh,
so
wow.
I think we've probably got a few more on the list. We did go to Rhode Island here about a month ago, a little bit more than a month ago. We got to go to, I forget the name of it. It's where the International Tennis Hall of Fame is, which was what I enjoyed. She wanted to go to the house where they shot episodes of Dark Shadows. She wanted to see where that was filmed. So there was a little place in Rhode Island where the opening shot of that series was filmed.
Was it all she hoped it would be?
I think so.
Good.
Yeah, I think she got a big charge out of it. But I got to see the International Tennis Hall of Fame, and as part of that trip, we went to another game at Fenway.
We
got to see the Red Sox and Dodgers play. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Fenway's a great park.
It is. Yeah, old but classic.
You're not a sausage. Are you a sausage guy? Because onions and peppers, the sausages on the side of the street from a vendor, that's impossible.
I'm not so much a sausage guy. I do like sausage on pizza, but not so much, the big The big sausage.
Yeah, because they're very much like hot dogs, and we know how you feel about
they're
those.
too close to hot dogs. For me to say yes to.
And you touched on it earlier, but we're a month and a half away from a new grandbaby coming in, so
exciting.
You'll be staying busy.
Exciting times. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to be beating the road down to Richmond and back quite a bit here in a couple of months.
So the big question is, will Dennis Carter change diapers?
Sure.
Okay.
I think so.
And what's your name going to be?
My name is going to be G-Pop.
G-Pop,
as in Grandpop. And Regina has decided to go with, she was thinking about Pippi, but she's going with Poppy instead. So
interesting.
I think those are the names, unless the baby has
other
plans, other ideas to call us. We'll go with what the baby decides.
Is that like a Southern thing? Because I never remember people being, so particular about what they're called by their grandkids.
I'm not really that particular what they call me. As long as they smile and want to be around me, I'm good.
Dennis, a pleasure.
My pleasure as well, Rich. Good to see you again. Good to be back here.
It was great, and to dive in and kind of learn the whole story, or at least a part of it.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.
Dennis Carter here on No Holds Barred.